see on your screens there. In this picture, you see Amritpal Singh with two books on his lap. One is titled US Army Guerrilla Warfare Handbook, and the other one is the complete US Army Survival Guide about foraging skills, tactics and techniques. This was the handbook that Amritpal was referring to as far as training of his associates go. That's the latest that we are gathering from our sources within the investigating agencies. Remember, several of Amritpal's aides, over 100 of them, are under arrest. Most of them are lodged in Assam's Dibrugarh jail. Their interrogation is underway, and these are details that are coming out of that very interrogation. These pictures that you see on your screens have been recovered by the investigating agencies from one of Amritpal's close aides, Preet, in which you see Amritpal Singh with those two books on his lap, which is why the agencies believe that a US-type, guerrilla-type warfare training is what Amritpal Singh looked into for his associates and for the gang that he was training to unleash terror. His associates, were given to understand, were looking for retired Sikh military trainers to train their personnel and to unleash the kind of violence that they wanted to unleash, an example of which we saw not too long ago in Punjab when a police station was under siege as well. Now more details are trickling out into the strategy that Amritpal Singh was looking to use as far as his associates and his tactics are concerned. Anand Narasimhan, my colleague, joins us for more details. Yes, Anand.
Well, multiple times we have seen evidence emerge that he was wanting to, he had secessionist intent. He was not openly taking the K name, but he was clearly propagating it. We have here at CNN News 18 also shown our viewers that he had separate emblem, separate flag, separate currency. He had all the roadmap ready, and he was actually trying to start this entire AKF, which was nothing but a militia, and the kind of training that he wanted to use. The likes of Preet, his closest aide, now the recoveries from that phone is significant because it also underlines what his other aides were practicing with rifles and pistols.
Yes. Thank you, Anand, for putting that in perspective and getting us that exclusive. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Thank you for tuning in.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. It was again chaos in both houses of parliament today. Congress leaders storming the well in Lok Sabha again, holding placards and once again throwing papers towards the chair. Lok Sabha was adjourned soon after. In Rajya Sabha, Vice President Dhankar tried to carry out the proceedings, but the opposition leaders continued to protest, which eventually brought about the adjournment of the house as well. The grand old party, the Congress party, has planned nationwide protests against Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, and they're getting support from various opposition parties as well. Congress is terming Rahul's disqualification anti-democracy, anti-democratic, but there is still no clear legal plan as far as his conviction is concerned. On the other hand, the BJP seems to be very clear about their counter strategy. They're calling Rahul Gandhi's all thieves seem to have the Modi surname remark as an insult to the OBC community itself. BJP OBC MPs in fact staged a protest in Parliament too. This has become a full-fledged narrative war ahead of the 2024 general elections now. Does anyone outside of the Congress really finds this a battle worth fighting for them and a fight for India's democracy, as the Congress would term it? Or is Rahul's disqualification merely to be seen as a spark that can ignite an anti-BJP movement? Who's winning this narrative war? That's a big question we'll take to our guests in just a bit. Take a look at some of the pictures from Parliament today. Opposition leaders, predominantly Congress leaders, flocking into the well of the House as it was convened. Congress leaders protesting, wearing black clothes, placards in their hands. One of the opposition leaders threw papers onto the chair. This is a repeat of what happened yesterday to the Lok Sabha Speaker as well. The Lok Sabha, of course, was adjourned. As I mentioned, in the Rajya Sabha, Chairman and Vice President of India, Jagdeep Dhankar, tried to carry out some business, but the opposition was hell-bent. It intensified its protest, demanding a JPC on the Adani issue. Remember, this is one of the things the Congress and the opposition is not leaving. Now, soon after the Parliament was adjourned, BJP OBC MP staged a protest at Gandhi statue at Parliament. and demanded an apology from Rahul Gandhi for insulting the entire OBC community. Remember, Rahul Gandhi is convicted of that defamatory remark where he said, if all Modis are chore. Now, BJP's game plan is simple. Push Rahul Gandhi on the back foot. With that, the Congress party, especially as far as his alleged insult to the OBCs is concerned on the back of this judgment, and hammer him over his recent comments in London too. They've not forgotten that. In fact, they were stalling Parliament to ask for apology on that. So BJP will try to project Rahul's remarks as an insult to the entire OBC community. They are, though, refraining from commenting on the legal aspects of this case. A mega campaign has been planned by the BJP for an OBC outrage on this issue from April 6 to 14, marking their foundation day as well. Now, BJP sees the OBC angle as the best tactic to put the Congress on the back foot. And they also want to project the fact that Rahul is not apologizing for his London comments as his arrogance. Meanwhile, the Congress is not leaving a stone unturned too to take the battle to the BJP after Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, presenting this as an assault on democracy itself. So the party is planning a series of agitations across the country. They are mounting what we have seen in pictures, a black protest against the centre in Parliament premises. There's a wider social media campaign that is being run by them to corner the BJP, and multiple press conferences. Scores of press conferences have been planned in as many as 35 cities in 2 days. They want to garner support from the opposition parties too, as far as this fight is concerned, most of which they're getting ahead of the 2024 battle. But will that opposition unity stay when it comes to seat sharing or alliances before the next general elections? Well, that's still up for debate. The big debate coming up today after Rahul Gandhi's disqualification: who exactly is winning the narrative war? Whose argument is the public going to buy?
डराने का, धमकाने का, ह्यूमिलेट करने का, ये जो गवर्नमेंट का एटीट्यूड है, इसको मैं कंडम करता हूँ।
ओबीसी का ठेकेदार ना मोदी बने ना स्मृति ईरानी बने, क्योंकि ओबीसी के नाम करते हुए ये लोग और कुछ नहीं, सिर्फ सियासत करना चाहते हैं।
This attack should not translate into an attack on the nation state, but such is the political frustration of Rahul Gandhi.
कभी ओबीसी को ये कहना चोर हैं, ये सभी चोर हैं, ये चोरों के नाम के सामने सभी ये ओबीसी वाले ही लोग क्यों सामने आते हैं? इस प्रकार की अभद्र टिप्पणी करना तो कहीं ना कहीं इन लोगों का अपमान करना है। तो कब तक ये सहन करेंगे?
Going across to the guests joining us, Charu Pragya from the BJP, Advocate Mahima Singh of the Congress Party joining us, Rashid Kidwai is author and senior journalist, somebody who tracks the Congress very closely, Abhijit Majumdar is consulting editor First Post. I thank you all for your time. Mahima, let me start with you. Rahul Gandhi has been convicted by a court order. He's been disqualified on the back of a court order. I want to understand from you, why should the public see this as a fight for their democracy or their civil rights, which the Congress is making this into?
Good evening, Shivani. Good evening, all. They should see this as that for the simple reason because it is, and it has always been like that. Rahul Gandhi ji's has been a singular voice all over these 9 years, raising public issues, raising challenges and questions to the government on China, on inflation, on unemployment. There are 10 lakh vacancies in the central government, yet there is no action on that. The only voice raising those issues is Rahul Gandhi ji's. And today that voice has been, the BJP has succeeded at silencing that voice in the parliament, as it goes on a democracy.
But not for those comments. A comment which is completely unrelated to everything that you mentioned.
I would say, Shivani, one doesn't speak in exclusivity of one's own belief systems and values. And I think when Rahul Gandhi ji speaks, he speaks, for the public issues as well as the BJP's conduct. And the BJP's conduct has been of glorifying what ought not to be glorified and not take up the public issues. The Prime Minister has not held a single press conference in 9 years. And here's the BJP raising slogans, disrupting the parliament, deflecting, the entire debate from the public issues. A finance bill is passed without a debate in Lok Sabha. I think that's historical. And the BJP.
Yeah, I think the treasury benches can be blamed for stalling parliament initially when the second phase of the budget session started over Rahul Gandhi's apology. But right now the reality is that Congress and opposition leaders are also storming into the well. So if they wanted a debate or a discussion on the finance bill, it's partly the blame is on them too. But Mahima, before I move on to my other guest, let me crystallize the question I'm asking you. Why should it matter to the public that you are going down to the streets and crying hoarse about democracy being in danger? All of these things you listed, you've been saying for the last 9 years. So why is it that after Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, the public should care when fundamentally this is not really about something that affects their life, what has happened to him as a parliamentarian?
We are not saying what has happened to Mr. Gandhi as a parliamentarian should affect the public life. And before I come to answer your instant question, Shivani, let me just say that the opposition is rightfully coming to the well of the house because that's what the opposition's role. But the BJP, the ruling party is making a mockery out of the democracy, is laughing at the democracy when it does so. A whole winter session was washed out. Allow me to complete. A whole winter session was washed out in 2010. When Arun Jaitley ji said, how raising a voice is integral to running a democracy, and that's how a democracy is run. And today, when the BJP is sitting in the ruling dispensation, that's what they're still doing because that's all they know. They don't know how to answer public questions.
Okay, but answer my question before I move on. Why should anyone care about Rahul Gandhi's disqualification apart from the Congress party? Because it's not as if what he's been disqualified for is a larger public cause.
You asked me that how should it matter to the public? Yeah. I think it should matter. It is not that it should matter. I would say that it matters to the public of Wayanad who have been, whose mandate has been insulted, blatantly insulted as the BJP has disqualified an MP.
BJP has not disqualified the MP. The MP has got disqualified by virtue of a court order. Let's not be economical with the truth. Also, I don't see any mass protests in Wayanad either. Forget the rest of the country. Also, it is not a right in perpetuity to be a parliamentarian. There are certain responsibilities for everyone. This is precisely what I'm saying. Why should any of this matter at the end of the day to the public on the street? But anyways, let me go across to Charu Pragya. Ratan Sharda, RSS ideologue and author, is also joining us. Charu Pragya, claiming that Rahul Gandhi abused all OBCs in India, or that was his intention. Is that not also stretching the argument a little bit? We've all heard his speech. You could argue that it was defamatory in nature. The court has certainly ruled so. But abuse and defamation are two very different things, one. And secondly, can you seriously argue that he went to abuse all OBCs? Are you not stretching that quite a bit?
Good evening, Shivani. And I have maintained very clearly in all my statements and all my debates that he has painted everyone with the Modi surname with the same color. And I maintain that even today. When he speaks to the public with a mic in his hand as a leader, he cannot insinuate that everyone who carries the surname Modi is a thief, and that is what the court has also taken cognizance of and passed that conviction order.
No, but Charu, everybody's had heard that speech. One second, everybody's heard that speech. Yeah. We all know that he was making a political speech. There's a political context to what he was saying. Now, of course, you could argue his words could have been chosen better. But is it not a stretch to allege that he was abusing all OBCs?
No, I'll tell you why, Shivani. And the reason is this. If you're making a political speech, in the spur of the moment you make a mistake and you say something. But years later, when the court say that you want to apologize for the remark you made, a bigger person, a sensible person would have said that I'm sorry if I hurt anyone's sentiment. I meant to target 1 Modi, 2 Modis, 3 Modis, full stop. What did he say instead? He said, Gandhi kabhi maafi nahi mangte. The same Gandhi who has offered an unconditional apology to the Honorable Supreme Court for being a repeat offender. And I'll tell you why he's a repeat offender. On an FIR of defamation, a 2-year sentence has been passed against him. Yet again today he goes on and defames Veer Savarkar. Again, Veer Savarkarji's grandson Ranjit Savarkar has said that if Rahul Gandhi does not offer an apology, I will go and file a FIR for defamation again.
We'll not get into
This
that.
cannot
We cannot get into that because what somebody else is choosing to.
Shivani, I wanted to say something else, but then you asked me a question and I was answering that. The point of the matter is that Mr. Gandhi is a leader who's full of only arrogance. He does not understand how his words impact others. He does not understand that he cannot get away by repeatedly insulting a leader, a freedom fighter, a son of Bharat Mata again and again and again. And the so-called opposition unity that he was trying to drum up by boasting about being disqualified from parliament has disintegrated again. Not that it has anything to do with me or with the BJP, but this is a wrong precedent to set.
No, let me just focus on exactly whose narrative is winning on ground. I've got experts also joining us. Abhijit, I want to come to you first. You know, the BJP is also drumming up this whole OBC insult narrative. But remember, this case is from 2019. We are in 2023. Yes, a verdict has come against Rahul Gandhi. But is it not too late and a little bit opportunistic of the BJP also to try to drum up this anti-OBC narrative? And will this be successful on the ground?
If you give, in politics, if you give your opponent an opportunity, the opponent will take it. Let's please face it. The government, the Congress done the same. Now the problem here is not one-off comment from Rahul Gandhi. He has been a repeat offender, again and again, and he has apologized twice. He had to apologize once to the RSS and once for his Rafale statement on Rafale deal. Now after that, so the court has also given this decision, in that, there is a context that it has sort of looked into, that this person learns no lessons. And you cannot say things like, why are all Modis thieves? This is something, this is apart from this being a very, very, problematic statement, it is also a politically really training intern level,
You're saying this was politically unwise, and you see that this could end up hurting the Congress party now in retrospective?
No, of course it will hurt the Congress party. One is that, it just, places Rahul, unless something is overturned and all that, it places Rahul out of the parliament for till 2034 or something. But there is another aspect to this. I mean, look at, apart, first of all, he said something very, very wrong about the entire Modi issue.
Okay.
Second, he doubles down by insulting Savarkar. Again and again. I mean, does he have no sense of history? Does he not remember that his great-grandfather Motilal Nehru had to pull strings and, say that Jawahar will never enter Nabha, this thing, just to get his son out of jail after just 14 days of harsh conditions. Savarkar suffered for 10 years solitary confinement. Besides that, unbelievable kind of torture. And look, Savarkar should be, please spare that man. He has done a fair bit for this nation.
I wasn't quite wanting to focus on the Savarkar issue, but two of our guests have brought that up. Let me give Mahima an opportunity to respond to this. This whole obsession, I don't think the Congress party has an obsession, but Rahul Gandhi certainly seems to have an obsession with Savarkar.
Just 10 seconds.
Yes, okay.
Just 10 seconds. That Congress itself, I mean, Rahul's own grandmother Indira Gandhi called...
felicitated Savarkar, yes.
Praised Savarkar when he died, said that he's a remarkable son of India. She's, on record, she's written it. It is how can then even Mahatma Gandhi advised Savarkar to write these profound
mercy petitions. Yes.
Even
No, so my point is... Abhijit, my point is, even if his grandmother did one thing, Rahul Gandhi is allowed to have a different view on Savarkar and his politics. What I want to understand from Mahima is, how does this help Rahul Gandhi and Congress today, in today's politics? This whole obsession with Savarkar. You know, not only is this not an election issue, surely in 2024, you're ending up cheesing off a lot of people with this obsession. I'm just not understanding, how does this help anyone? Rahul or the Congress party? Mahima.
Let me just say, Shivani, that you use the word obsession. Not only is there an obsession, but let me just say that, you see, whenever there will be a mention of apology without any reason, without any legitimate reason, Savarkar would be remembered because it's a matter of fact that he had apologized. There's an affidavit in place.
No, but you don't see the context to Savarkar's apology, that the man was sentenced for 14 years of rigorous imprisonment in Kala Pani. That's not context enough. And there were jailed people, freedom fighters of that generation who routinely wrote these mercy petitions. Is that context not enough? One second, Charu, one second. One second, Charu, one second. Mahima.
You can go on a never-ending spree on glorifying Savarkar, and
no, this is not glorification. This is the problem. Nobody is glorifying Savarkar, and Rahul Gandhi doesn't need to. But there's a context to his mercy petition.
Yes. Shivani, please allow me to interject.
Okay, let Mahima complete. Then Mahima. Okay, Charu, 20 seconds.
Very quickly, Shivani, the reason why an apology was offered in that letter is because there was a format to any clemency or a pardon petition during British ruled India. Mahima should know this. Rahul Gandhi should know this. It was not only written by Veer Savarkar, it was also written by Motilal Nehru ji. When our Honorable Prime Minister Jawahar Nehru was jailed in 1923, the exact same language was used by Motilal Nehru to get his son out of jail, because every clemency application needed to have this statement.
Okay, let her respond now.
All the Congress leaders need to read this.
Mahima, please, Mahima.
I'd appreciate if you'll allow me to first complete my thought and then move on to the panelists.
Yes, go ahead.
I was saying that, see, the BJP is doing what their characteristic trait is. Earlier, they used to say there's no mercy petition. Earlier, used to say, show us where's the mercy petition. Now, they are ratifying it by saying that, oh, so this Savarkar is not the only one. There's this one, there's that one. That's characteristic BJP, and I'm not surprised, or I'm only amused, because that's what they do over and over and over again. Of course, the ones who have never come out to answer to legitimate public questions, this is what they'll do. They'll hold on to Rahul Gandhi's T-shirt. They'll hold on to Rahul Gandhi's Savarkar remark. They'll hold on to, this and that. They'll name call Rahul Gandhi. And when everything else fails, they'll disrupt the parliament themselves when they are meant to be the ones running it successfully.
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. Let me take that to Rashid Kidwai. Rashid Kidwai, I maintain my question. There seems to be an obsession with Savarkar bashing that Rahul Gandhi has. And Mahima used the right word, name calling. What Rahul Gandhi is doing to Savarkar also qualifies as name calling. Now forget what his forefathers did or his grandmother did. My question is, why is this relevant to Rahul Gandhi in today's context? Is this helping them? Look at what Shiv Sena is saying. They're getting angry with Rahul Gandhi for no reason. I mean, for this reason, but some unavoidable reason.
Yeah. So I think, Shivani, the Congress wants to make the kind of ideological distinction between the Congress and the BJP and bringing all kind of past instances. This is not very uncommon, but obviously this bringing past to the present, fast forwarding it, has its own kind of problems. The way Mr. L.K. Advani learned when he brought up Mohammad Ali Jinnah's name and tried to, pitch Mr. Jinnah in a certain way, and he faced his political consequences of it. So I see that, bringing past to the present in context is not politically not been very conducive for any political party or individual. But perhaps Rahul Gandhi wanted to make a limited point, saying that the Congress and the BJP, they are two, ideologically different political parties, and they cannot be a meeting place. And of course, in between, I learned that, Mr. Sharad Pawar and Sanjay Raut and all have played a role, and Mr. Rahul Gandhi in principle has agreed not to take up Savarkar issue at least at this point of time, from time to come. So perhaps there is a kind of temporary truce that is going to be there between the Congress and Shiv
Well,
Sena.
that reflects even worse. If you so believed in your opposition to Savarkar, it shouldn't matter if you're, somebody is brokering political truce for now. But interesting you say that. Of course, I know of those comments being made. But Ratan Shada, let me come to you. you know, this whole Savarkar issue, I'm not sure how it helps the Congress party, as I've been asking our guests. Also, the whole issue of apology. Since when has apologizing, especially if you've said something wrong, which is the context of Rahul Gandhi, which is being hauled up, so problematic? That in itself, do you think sends the right message? That I am a Gandhi, I don't apologize. How do you think the public will look at these comments?
Shivani, first of all, let me clarify before I start that I am not an ideologue of any party, any organization. I am too small a person. I am just a researcher and author.
Sure.
So let us avoid that. Now, coming to the main issue, by continuously talking of Savarkar, we are trying to glorify the disqualification of Rahul Gandhi, who used a very uncouth language against certain caste and community. And that is the truth. And that is what the courts decided. Based on that court, the law that became a law in 2013 due to Supreme Court or disqualification of MPs, MLAs automatically has been enforced. So why this all this talk of martyrdom? And this, I will not seek apology. People are already shown how they have sought apology, including his great-grandfather. I will not get into that. I don't even want to muddy the respect for Savarkar by talking of this frivolous subject and bringing him to the street politics. Now, what has Rahul Gandhi done? He is trying to mix up the two issues of Adani and apology. He could have apologized as a good leader that on the heat of the moment he said something, because that was sought again and again by the lawyers in that particular case. People were coming here and talking about, judge has not done well, the court has not done well. Where were they during the argument? If they made the argument and courts didn't listen, they have to go to appeal. Have they gone to appeal? I doubt it. So just want to create all this mess. And when they want to discuss Adani, please by all means discuss Adani. Why get into disqualification? And go appeal to the courts and don't make it a martyrdom where even they bring in USA. Okay. I mean, the Congress so confused, just a moment. Congress so confused about Rahul Gandhi, whether to support him or oppose him. Forget the opposition party. So half the spokesperson say interference of USA is good. Half of them is not good. It's like Rahul Gandhi is such an embarrassment कि कहा भी ना जाए, सहा भी ना जाए. That is the situation today. Okay. So you can come on TV, make all kind of ridiculous arguments. The bottom line is you are no match to Savarkar. You have made a mess of your life and you have not succeeded in anything you did. You did a wonderful yatra. You destroyed all the goodwill of the yatra. Okay. Can I just ask our three experts very quickly, 10 seconds each. Rachan, Sharda, who's exactly winning this narrative war as it stands today? Because Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, as Abhijit said, or I think one of our other guests said today or have been saying, that does present the Congress with an opportunity. So who's been able to win this narrative so far? See, when Indira Gandhi used this opportunity, she used it very well. But he is no Indira Gandhi, nor is the cause Indira Gandhi. And Indira Gandhi, a huge history of success. It has a huge success at that time. So you cannot even compare the two. And so with this kind of frivolous thing don't work, it will help the BJP. BJP can even tone down a little. They are too aggressive. Even if tone down, they will win the narrative on this. Okay, Rashid Kidwai, what do you think?
I think this kind of thing, who wins, I think it's going to be a good test is election. So the outcome of Karnataka election, is the BJP going to prepare this, that, whatever happens, it will have a reflection? I don't think so. I think it is very weird to expect a politician to be making politically insensitive remarks against a community or OBCs, etc. A political party which is a stakeholder, a political party that has two OBC chief ministers at present out of the three chief ministers they have. So this is a drum up narrative and it is for people to decide. Okay, Abhijit?
I think, Shivani, whoever loses his or her cool is losing something. And Rahul Gandhi has of late been losing his cool too often on journalists, on Savarkar, making statements about Modi, the whole community, so he's losing his cool too often, and that is not going to be good for him.
Okay, I have to leave it at that. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Let's see how this plays out. Moving on to the other big story we're tracking. In a massive embarrassment to Punjab police and government, separatist preacher Amritpal Singh, who was raided 11 days ago, has now managed to run to Nepal, we are told. India, through its mission in Kathmandu, has asked Nepal to put its immigration authorities on alert to make sure the separatist does not escape to a third country. Amritpal's details have been sent to hotels and airlines as well. Posters with his pictures and his aides have been put up in border areas. In fact, amid the speculation that this fugitive pro-Khalistani activist has snuck into Nepal, the SSB in India, the Sahastra Seema Bal, has also stepped out vigil along the borders in Uttarakhand and UP. Meanwhile, a new footage of Amritpal has come to light. In this video, it is suspected that this man, who is not seemingly wearing a full turban, is Amritpal. The video is from Delhi's Madhu Vihar area, we are told, but is from 21st March around 5 p.m. This video is now going viral and is under investigation. And in fact, it's been a series of videos and footages that have been coming out. Take a look at how the fugitive managed to hoodwink authorities in India since the initial raid on him 11 days ago. So first it was Mehatpur in Punjab. He was seen fleeing in a Mercedes. Then we were told that in Chakot Toll Plaza, he moved from the Mercedes to a Brezza vehicle. In Patiala, he apparently switched to a two-wheeler. There were these videos that also went viral. He then went out of Punjab. In Shahabad, Haryana, he was spotted under an umbrella in a CCTV footage. Then at ISBT in Delhi, the bus terminal, tracked with aid Pappalpreet. And now India has officially notified Nepal, claiming the fugitive is hiding there. In a letter sent to Nepal's Department of Consular Services on Saturday, the Indian embassy requested the authorities to arrest Amritpal if he tries to flee. This is what the letter says. Amritpal Singh may try to escape through Nepal. Amritpal Singh is currently hiding in Nepal. Don't allow him to travel to any third country via Nepal and arrest him if he attempts to escape the country. Nepal government, while acknowledging Indian request, put on Singh and have put him on their surveillance list. They say they have also made some inquiries and have asked for some clarifications, but they have put all borders, including airports, on alert since the letter by the Indian agencies. What is curious is also the fact that Nepal has been a favoured destination for many fugitives and criminals in India wanting to give the agencies a run. Amritpal Singh is only the latest amongst a list of high-profile accused fleeing to the Himalayan country. India has informed Nepal of the same. Now, Asad Ahmed is the third son of gangster cum politician Atiq Ahmed, who was convicted today. He is wanted for murder. He allegedly fled to Nepal via Siddharth Nagar in UP. Yasin Bhatkal, India's most wanted terrorist, tracked in Pokhara at one time. He was brought to India in a top-secret operation in 2013. Asadullah Akhtar, Indian Mujahideen's bomb maker, was found in Nepal. He was sheltered by ISI in Nepal before he was arrested. Also, Abdul Karim Tunda, LET bomb maker, was caught from Nepal in 2013. He escaped despite intel mechanisms on Indo-Nepal border. The big question we're asking today, even as news comes in that Amritpal has now escaped, run off to Nepal, is this not a massive failure of the Punjab police and the Punjab government?
देखिए, अमृतपाल भागा तो हुआ है और सारी फोर्स, सेंट्रल फोर्सेस भी, बाकी सब स्टेट्स को भी अलर्ट किया है। तो नेपाल भी एक अल्टरनेटिव लग रहा था इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज को, फोर्सेस को। नेपाल ही एक ऐसी कंट्री है जो बाय रोड आसानी से उत्तराखंड से, बिहार से पहुंचा जा सकता है।
Lieutenant General KJ Singh, former GOC in Chief Western Command, and Shashikant, former DGP in Punjab, joining us on the show. I thank you both for your time. Shashikant ji, let me come to you. We have spoken about how the very fact that Amritpal escaped this raid and this crackdown, and then for 10 long days has managed to give the Punjab police, a miss. that already it was seeming like a botched operation. What would you say today when Amritpal, despite all the efforts of the Punjab police, has apparently run off to Nepal? How does that look?
Look, in fact, if you look at it, ab initio, right from the very beginning, it all looked like a botched operation, botched activities, etc., etc. This guy lands up here out of nowhere as if his para dropped and is indulging in exercise. Agencies, our agencies, police, state police, everybody is looking at it. What he's doing? No action. Ajnala, thereafter, no action. And when the action takes place, but you have to look at one thing before I go further. The way he had amassed a massive crowd when he was on way to Ajnala, that means that ISI or whatever the foreign powers were behind him. They had alerted all the sleeper cells and everybody. So yes, he ran away. Like they said, he was in Kurukshetra, then it came he was in Delhi, it came he was in certain other places. So it all appears that the sleeper cells were just sleeping there, and they were activated by somebody to give shelter to him. And if he has escaped to Nepal, I'm not surprised, because Nepal not only is an easier route, but General Singh will also agree to it that Nepal is one of the places ISI has got one of its major outposts there in Nepal, somewhere around Kathmandu or someplace.
No, that's why I mentioned there have been a lot of terrorists wanting in India who take shelter in Nepal. But before I go across to Lieutenant General Singh, let me also go across to Piyush Joshi, Dr. Piyush Joshi, who's joining us. We've requested the Aam Aadmi Party to join us, but they declined the invitation. And Piyush, my question is going to be exactly that. You know, the government is intrinsically linked to this crackdown. Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann came out talking with all gung-ho and bravado that, you know, we will not allow anybody to take law and order in their hands. We will not allow anybody to vitiate the atmosphere, and everybody has been caught very conveniently skipping the part that Amritpal, the main man you wanted to catch, has not been caught. And we see that the longer this botched up operation carries on, there is no accountability being displayed by the government in Punjab. Why are they hiding? Why are they not coming out into the open and taking questions on this?
First of all, that is only for the Punjab government to answer that. Why are they not answering the questions? As far as I am concerned, the police commissioners of various ranges have already spoken on this matter, and the DG of Punjab has also spoken on the matter. So when it comes to answering about the operation, I think the appropriate authorities are answering. The political spokesperson may not be answering. That's another matter. Now, coming to the term, you know, the botched up operation, I personally take that as an insult to the operations which Punjab police has carried on. Yes, there is one fugitive. Yes, there is one coward fugitive who's running around here and there. And that itself shows that the operation has been efficient to a great extent.
No, the
Is
operations,
the operation a complete success?
The operations, objective would have been to catch him. You've caught everybody else but Amritpal.
Oh yes, it still is. What makes you think that the operation's objective is not to catch Amritpal as of now? You know,
but how did he escape Punjab to begin with?
Because he's a fugitive, he's a bhagoda. That's what fugitives do. That's what criminals do.
But that's what the police doesn't allow them to do. He became a fugitive because he ran. Of course, that would be his intention. But shouldn't the question naturally arise, as Shashikant ji is also asking, how did he even escape Punjab to begin with?
Well, that is for the experts to answer that. How did he escape Punjab? But his whole infrastructure has been dismantled. All of his support system has been destroyed. That itself speaks volumes about the operation. Now, another thing is that once he has crossed Punjab and entered another state, that becomes a union government's territory. So that is for the union government to answer. But as far as Punjab police is concerned, I am sure that it is a setback if he has escaped Punjab. I don't know the first-hand information. I am not privy to that. But yes, it is a setback. I will consider that as a setback, and I think the Punjab police will not leave any stone unturned to catch Amritpal.
Yes, but police's ineptitude or failure is always linked to the state government, because law and order is a state subject. The police comes under the state. KJ Singh, I want
to call that. How do we define failure, right?
Well, you haven't caught him. It's the 11th day, and it is personalities like Shashikant ji who've called it botched up operation. I'm borrowing his words. He's former DGP in Punjab.
So I'm not commenting upon that. I'm just putting my own point of view forward with due respect to all the fellow panelists and with due respect to you as well.
Sure.
So what I'm here in my own capacity, and that's what I'm going to speak about.
So you're saying it's too early to judge this operation, but
it's too early to judge this operation.
But several people would say,
is it a just I'll finish off in 20 seconds. If Amritpal is not caught, is it a setback? Yes, it is a setback. There's no doubt about it. He needs to be caught. But to call this a whole operation a failure, I wouldn't say that, because his whole infrastructure has been destroyed. His whole support system is destroyed. In future, if
but here's the fear. No, Dr. Piyush.
I'll be done. I'll be done if any Amritpal or likes of such try to surface again in Punjab, they will think 3 times before attempting such an endeavor.
Okay, but here's where I disagree with you, and some experts may be on my side. Because he hasn't been caught, and because he may become a legend by escaping, run his operations from somewhere else where he gets maybe the ISIS shelter allegedly or anything else, may run off to some other foreign land. I think this emboldens his legend, which he would try to create. His followers will try to what his followers will. You think people will not try to do that? Dr. Piyush Joshi, do you think? No, do you think people who propped Amritpal, do you think people who propped Amritpal will not try to milk the situation that Punjab police could not nab him? Do you think so? Seriously?
Well, he is not the true Khalsa he portrays.
That's not the point I'm discussing.
That's for the whole world to see.
That's not the point I'm discussing. We are not batting about his credentials. One second, Dr. Piyush. We are not talking about his credentials. Ultimately, it makes the Indian government, the Indian state, the Punjab police look weak. But let me take final comments from Lieutenant General KJ Singh also, who's been waiting patiently. Do you think that we'll be able to nab him back, bring him back from Nepal, sir? Because in the past, we've had some successes on this front. Do you think we'll be able to get him back from Nepal if he's there for true?
Shivani, firstly, Jai Hind. I'll start my articulation by firstly saying that Punjab police, when I worked with them, is a very formidable force. Probably the police was given an instruction that do not fire, do not use violence, allow nab these people without, but then it could have been done at a better time, maybe at night. There could have been better cordons. Now that 11 days have passed and somehow police is looking ineffective, it is important that the person is nabbed. I will tend to agree with one thing, that Amritpal has lost a lot of following and traction because the way he's running, he's changing appearances, he's appearing like a pagoda or a fugitive. So to that extent, if the initial game was to make him appear like that, okay, till then it is okay. But he should, and I am also surprised that there are certain central agencies like Delhi police, for instance, which in Sidhu Moosewala case picked up some absconders. So I hope they come into play and we nab this person and get him back and let the law take its own course. Because if a person now tends to build up a Robin Hood image of having fooled the Punjab police and taken the shine of them, then all in all, it's not good for us.
Yeah.
So I wish Punjab police a quick success. I also hope central agencies will do more than their bit and get this man from Nepal.
Well, if he's in Nepal, then obviously the central agencies will have to do this now. It's not up to the state government to do this particularly. So now there has to be a joint concerted efforts to bring him back from Nepal if he's truly there. That's at least what the Indian agencies fear. I've run out of time. I do thank all of our guests and experts for joining us. This is turning out to be a curious case where the hunt is turning out to be never ending for Amritpal. How will it end? We don't know. But on the other side of a very short break, we'll get you more on all the protests that are breaking out in France, one of the many countries that is facing mass protests. And this one is over their pension reforms. We'll get you more in just a bit.
After an open ultimatum and a last threat issued by Uddhav Thackeray. But the next day's Tabla, which is the mouthpiece of Shiv Sena's Uddhav Thackeray faction, clearly mellowed down the stance, made it a lot less aggressive, especially by comparing the Savarkar family with the Gandhi family, claiming that both the families had done immense sacrifices for the country. So in some sense, it is an awkward issue, or in some sense, both the parties also try and understand that it is a political compulsion with respect to their core voter bank that they will have to stick to. At the same time, we are seeing that it is also a parallel tussle that is going on between Eknath Shinde faction and Uddhav Thackeray faction on one hand, and between Shiv Sena, both the factions, and BJP on the other hand in Maharashtra. All of them are trying to take claim.
Yesterday, as you'll remember, the story we brought you was over a storm created over Rahul Gandhi's remarks, in particular about V.D. Savarkar. These were remarks he made over the weekend where he said that he was a Gandhi and he wasn't going to be quiet, he wasn't going to apologize like V.D. Savarkar did. Now, that remark predictably set the BJP off. We saw a flurry of responses coming in from BJP leaders through the day, including union ministers. Now, ever since, you've also seen, you'll remember in Maharashtra, ally of the Congress, Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena act out. They've said that they do not react positively to this response coming in from Rahul Gandhi. They've also said that any remarks against Savarkar will not be stood for by them. Now, there have also been posters put up by the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha in Maharashtra. Several top leaders of Eknath Shinde camp and the BJP have changed their Twitter display picture to "We are all with Savarkar." So you can see in Maharashtra this issue very much catching fire. Meanwhile, a possible rift between the opposition alliance in Maharashtra, as we just told you. One side, the Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena faction, and on the other side, the Congress and possibly the NCP. That very much continues to simmer. We'll continue to bring you accounts from the picture in Maharashtra, where you'll remember ever since the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi was formed years ago, the Congress and the Uddhav Thackeray-led faction have shared a very delicate relationship. Let's take a look at what Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde, had to say. Then we'll move on.
कालच्या जाहीर सभेमध्ये सावरकरांचा अपमान आम्ही सहन करणार आहे म्हणजे काय करणार हे तुम्ही त्यांना विचारलं पाहिजे. सहन करणार नाही म्हणजे काय करणार. बाळासाहेबांनी तेव्हा सावरकरांचा अपमान करणाऱ्या मणिशंकर अय्यरच्या थोबाडीत दिली होती. ही हिंमत तुम्ही दाखवणार राहुल गांधींच्या थोबाडात देऊन.
And an update we have regarding the Shiv Sena faction led by Uddhav Thackeray. Their leader Sanjay Raut is slamming the BJP over their Gaurav Yatra. He said it's not a Savarkar Gaurav Yatra, it's a Adani Gaurav Yatra. They've just put the mask of Savarkar on it. That's the update coming in. We're going to continue to watch these factions train their guns at each other. Let's bring you a very, very quick timeline over here. Over the weekend, we saw Rahul Gandhi first make a remark at a press conference where he said that he wasn't going to apologize. He was not like V.D. Savarkar. Now, you'll remember that for the BJP, the V.D. Savarkar is a very important figure. But for the Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Shiv Sena, he is also a very important figure, which is why this is playing out so interestingly in Maharashtra, where the Uddhav Thackeray-led faction is an ally of Rahul Gandhi's Congress. Now, let's take a very, very quick look at what Sanjay Raut from the Uddhav Thackeray-led faction had to say. Then we'll connect with our Mumbai Bureau Chief for more.
की सावरकरांचा अपमान झाला म्हणून गौरव यात्रा काढतायत. याच भगतसिंग कोश्यारीने छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराजांचा अपमान केला तेव्हा छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराज गौरव यात्रा यांना काढावीशी वाटली नाही. याच भगतसिंग कोश्यारीने महात्मा फुले सावित्रीबाई फुलेंचा अपमान केला तेव्हा महात्मा फुले सावित्रीबाई फुले यांची गौरव यात्रा काढावीशी वाटली नाही. का फुले आणि छत्रपती शिवाजी महाराज हा आमचा स्वाभिमान नव्हता का. तेव्हा तुम्ही भगतसिंग कोश्यारींना पाठिंबा दिलात, त्यांचा अपमान पाठीशी घातलात.
Okay, let's go over to our Mumbai Bureau Chief, Vinaya Deshpande, for context. Vinaya, it's easy to see how this entire controversy, Rahul Gandhi's remarks and then, of course, Uddhav Thackeray's remarks, and now
the BJP saying that they're going to have a Savarkar Gaurav Yatra. The BJP is clearly milking this in Maharashtra, as of course is the Eknath Shinde-led faction. And I just want to understand from you, Vinaya, in the last 24 hours, since Rahul Gandhi first made that remark and we saw Uddhav Thackeray fire off a response, behind the scenes, what kind of feelers are being passed between the Congress and the Uddhav Thackeray-led faction of the Shiv Sena and also the NCP? Where do all these three parties align right now behind the scenes?
Well, they really don't align behind the scenes as well on this specific issue, and that is clearly seen. We have seen that after remarks by Rahul Gandhi, Shiv Sena found itself on a sticky wicket again. In fact, it was one of the most, mild attacks by the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray against Rahul Gandhi this time. The previous attacks on him with respect to Savarkar were a lot more aggressive. This time on, since they are all together in the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi, we can see that the attacks were also mellowed down. The Congress also downplayed those attacks, claiming that this is a point of difference that both the parties knew about and they have come together on the basis of a common minimum program. Whether this would have escalated to something bigger, yes, we were on the lookout for that in the last 24 to 48 hours, especially after an open ultimatum and a last threat issued by Uddhav Thackeray. But the next day's Samna, which is the mouthpiece of Shiv Sena's Uddhav Thackeray faction, clearly mellowed down the stance, made it a lot less aggressive, especially by comparing the Savarkar family with the Gandhi family, claiming that both the families had done immense sacrifices for the country. So in some sense, it is an awkward issue, or in some sense, both the parties also try and understand that it is a political compulsion with respect to their core voter bank that they will have to stick to. At the same time, we are seeing that it is also a parallel.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. France has been rocked by angry protests across the country against Macron government over the past several days, with tens and thousands of people hitting the streets against the pension reforms. Trains and Paris metro services have been disrupted after rail workers also joined the planned protests. Violent clashes are taking place across the country, with demonstrators blocking airports and railway stations, even setting fire to Bordeaux's City Hall. Molotov cocktails and tear gas have been used by cops to disperse crowds. Essential services have been disrupted, oil and gas deliveries stalled, tourist attractions like the Eiffel Tower closed to shield them from vandalism. But why is France on the edge? Why are the protests taking place in the country in the first place? So recently, Macron government passed a controversial pension reform in Parliament using special constitutional powers without even giving French lawmakers a chance to vote. Under this reform, retirement age has been increased from 62 to 64. From this September, age will increase by 3 months each until 2030. Physically and mentally arduous workers may retire earlier. From 2027, Social Security contributions of 43 years will be required, 1 year more than the current. All French workers will get a state pension. The public, though, has been resisting these changes.
I'm against this reform simply because I have two parents who are killing themselves at work and damaging their health, and I don't want to see them die at work. My father, he works every day. He gets up to get on the tarmac at Roissy at 5 a.m. to load the planes. I find it difficult to imagine myself at 64 getting up at 3 a.m.
I think that when you have institutions that don't really listen when we hold demonstrations that are more peaceful and that are declared, you have to find other ways to act and be seen. We're not heard when we protest peacefully. When the unions try to meet the president, we don't really have the means to put pressure on the government.
So why has there been this opposition to the new pension reforms that the entire country is rocked by such violent protests? The current pension system is seen as a cornerstone of France's very cherished model of social protection, which the public is not willing to give up. Pensions Advisory Council's independent analysis says that they don't support the claim that pension spending is out of control in France. Macron's plan is also riddled with concessions and exemptions, and most importantly, using Article 49.3, Macron overrode Parliament to pass retirement age bill. Why the opposition current system is also seen as some sort of a cherished model, it was this act that also made it clear to them that the government is not listening to them. More than 1 million people have demonstrated across France against this unpopular reform. In Paris, street battles between police and black-clad masked groups took place. Protesters attacked at least 2 fast food restaurants, a supermarket, a bank, in a bid to intensify the violence and draw attention away from the thousands of peaceful marchers. With unprecedented protests, Paris is on the edge. About 30% of flights at Paris Orly Airport were cancelled. Transportation workers blocked tracks at Paris Gare de Lyon station as a part of mass strikes. Footage shows union members marching on tracks, lighting flares and carrying large flags and banners. Amidst mass protests and demonstrations, King Charles III and Queen Consort Camilla's first visit to France as British monarch has been cancelled. Buckingham Palace described the change in plans as a postponement.
I think you see the situation related to the protests because of the pension reform in France. From the moment when, last night, the Trade Unions Alliance announced a new day of mobilization on Tuesday and that the King's visit was scheduled from Monday to Wednesday. I think that we would not be serious and lack a certain common sense to propose to His Majesty the King and Queen Consort to come on a state visit in the middle of the demonstration.
France faces twin issues, which is why they're pushing these reforms. An aging population, so less working population, and a larger than others pension bill. So the pension bill in France is nearly 14% of the GDP. This is more than most developed countries. French men retire 2 years earlier than EU average, French women a year earlier. Ratio of workers to retirees expected to dip from 2.1 in 2000 to 1.2 by 2070. French also need to boost the employment rates amongst the 60 to 64-year-olds. France's rate is only 33% compared to 61%, for example, in Germany and 69% in Sweden. France also has the lowest qualifying age for a state pension amongst major economies, especially in Europe. According to government, the gross savings out of these reforms will be up to 17.7 billion euros a year by 2030. France is not alone. There seems to be no respite to ongoing protests against judicial reforms in Israel. Now, bending to a wave of mass protests, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delayed his contentious judicial overhaul plan yesterday, said he wanted to avoid a civil war in his country. In his primetime address, Netanyahu, who had previously rejected calls to delay the legislation, took a more conciliatory tone. He acknowledged deep divisions in the country and said he was hitting the pause button to prevent a rift in the nation. The announcement appeared to calm some of the tensions that have fueled 3 months of tumultuous unrest. There has been a surge of dissent amongst members of his own party, in fact, and tensions rose after Netanyahu abruptly fired his defense minister over his opposition to the planned overhaul, prompting mass street protests and widespread strike action.
Out of national responsibility, out of the desire to prevent a rift in the nation, I decided to suspend the second and third reading of the law in this session of the Knesset, to give time to try and reach the same broad agreement in preparation for the legislation during the next Knesset. Either way, we will bring a reform that will restore the balance that was lost between the authorities, while preserving, and I would add even in strengthening, the rights of the individual.
Take a look at the reform that is rocking Israel. The reforms are supposed to change the composition of the panel appointing judges. Seems very close to home, doesn't it? The panel was expanded from 9 to 11 after changes. The government-nominated members would now have 7-4 majority. According to the bill, the government wants Parliament to be able to override any SC judgment. The Parliament can override a judgment by a majority of 61 votes. Proposed bill seeks to scrap the test of reasonability. The Parliament will also get power to pass laws which were previously ruled invalid by courts. While the reforms have been pegged back now, Netanyahu has been a very vocal proponent of them, of course. He says that he's been batting for these reforms because the Supreme Court doesn't represent the Israeli people anymore. The SC, he says, is overstepping its role, getting into issues it shouldn't rule on. People voted politicians to power and not Supreme Court judges, he says.
Politicians in countries like US control appointment of judges. The Supreme Court shouldn't interfere in the will of the people. Like I said, this is an issue that will seem closer to home, given that the Indian government has also been kick-starting a campaign, a debate on how Indian judges should be appointed and who should have the last say, and especially on judicial overreach too. Now, the opposition to these proposed reforms is also great in Israel. This is primarily what those opposed say, that this overhaul goes too far, that it will completely destroy the judiciary. The reforms will harm the independence of the judiciary as well. The judicial reforms may put the civil and minority rights at risk in Israel. Only a minority of Israelis support the reforms, while the vast majority want a compromise to be reached. As of now, 3 corruption cases against Netanyahu are also under trial, where he faces charges of fraud, bribery and breach of trust. Opponents believe that these judicial reforms are meant as an escape route for Netanyahu himself. Take a look at how the world is reacting to the decision to slow down in Israel and the reform itself. So, for example, US has welcomed the halt, saying this is an opportunity to create additional time for a compromise. UK has also welcomed the delay, saying it is vital that the shared democratic values are upheld, while the UN has slammed the reforms itself, saying judicial plans will drastically undermine judiciaries.
कि भोजन प्राप्त करके अवश्य यहाँ से पधारें। भारत माता की, भारत माता की, वंदे वंदे, बीजेपी जिंदाबाद, भाजपा जिंदाबाद, भाजपा जिंदाबाद। यहाँ उपस्थित सभी कार्यकर्ता बंधुओं का हार्दिक अभिनंदन है। आज एक ऐतिहासिक पल के साक्षी होने का गौरव हम सबको मिल रहा है। विश्व के सबसे बड़े नेता, युग पुरुष, परम सम्माननीय मोदी जी द्वारा केंद्रीय कार्यालय के विस्तार का लोकार्पण कार्यक्रम यहाँ पर होगा और हम सबको इस कार्यक्रम का साक्षी होने का, उन्हें सुनने का मौका मिलेगा। और दिल्ली प्रदेश के कार्यकर्ताओं के द्वारा पिछले 7 दिन से बहुत मेहनत के साथ इस कार्यक्रम के लिए सहयोग दिया गया है और अभी भी काफ़ी लोग यहाँ खड़े हैं। आप सभी से यही निवेदन करना चाहूँगी कि दरवाज़ा छोड़ के थोड़ा सा हम पीछे हो जाएं ताकि आगंतुकों को परेशानी नहीं हो। अतिथि बहुत दूर दूर से आए हैं। यहाँ सांसदगण हैं, केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल के सदस्यगण हैं, राष्ट्रीय पदाधिकारी हैं, पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड के समस्त सदस्यगण यहाँ उपस्थित हैं और कार्यकर्ता बंधु यहाँ उपस्थित हैं। आप सभी का इस ऐतिहासिक पल में स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है।
So, the visuals now coming in from the new BJP building, which is just in front of the ITO BJP headquarters. You can see BJP leaders present in that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is inaugurating it. Top leaders, ministers, all present in this meeting.
सरकार की योजनाओं की जानकारी, नवाचार और बहुत सी ऐसी चीजें जो हम लोग कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि कार्यकर्ता होने के नाते ये हम सबका कर्तव्य है कि हम अपनी पार्टी का विस्तार करें और केंद्र की योजनाओं को उस जन तक लेके जाएं जिसके लिए वो योजनाएं बनी हैं। सर्व समावेशी विकास में और गरीब कल्याण के संकल्प के साथ प्रधानमंत्री जी निरंतर काम कर रहे हैं और वैश्विक नेता के रूप में विश्व में अपनी छवि, देश की छवि सुधारने का काम उन्होंने किया है। तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता होने के नाते ये कर्तव्य हम सबका है कि हम उन योजनाओं की जानकारी लें, उन योजनाओं के बारे में अध्ययन करें और उसे उस वंचित तक पहुंचाएं जिसके लिए वो योजनाएं
See the Prime Minister there accompanied by BJP President JP Nadda as he arrives at the new BJP headquarters.